Mildura Weekly, and joining me fresh from her first week in the National Capital, Parliament House, is the member for Mallee Dr Anne Webster. Anne, welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much.
Well, it was an action-packed week last week in Canberra with the new Parliament opening and, of course, the swearing-in of the new Governor-General.
Yes. It was a remarkable experience to be amongst all that pomp and ceremony and really quite awe-inspiring, and to be in the presence of people like David Hurley, the Governor-General. His speech was really remarkable and shows the warmth and the goodwill towards Australia, but also of Australians, and it was a really very memorable experience.
Excellent, yes. And speaking of memorable experiences, your first week sitting in the Parliament, how was that?
Well, it's not something that you can really imagine until you walk in there and take in the magnificence of Parliament House and the importance of Parliament House and the role of being the federal member. I think I'm number 1203 since Federation. That's not very many people who have sat in the House of Parliament. So I take it, you know, it's very sobering and very honouring, I think, too. So coupled with being very humbling, it's a tremendous mix of emotions when you're actually there. And to see the calibre of the people that I'm sitting with, there was more than one of us who thought that any minute now they're going to discover I'm actually a fraud and I shouldn't be here. It was really quite remarkable. So no, it was a wonderful experience.
Yeah, and the good news for the Morrison government was that they got their tax cuts through both houses, and in the end Labor voted for them as well in the Senate.
Yes, it was. I walked out with a couple of senior ministers the night that it had gone through the Senate and it was all done and dusted, and the adjournment was made in the House of Reps. And I said to them, so is this how it always goes, this easily? And they laughed and said, no, like very rarely. It was just a tremendous achievement, and a tremendous achievement for ordinary Australians to be able to have some cash back in their pocket in this financial year. If they put their tax returns in now, they will receive them. Lower and middle income earners. So it's really pleasing to be part of such a positive government and to be making a difference for people in Mallee.
Excellent. No, well, it's interesting to see Jackie Lambie, of course, got back into the Senate, and well, she wasn't quite the kingmaker, but she's certainly going to be an interesting character to watch again, I think.
Yes, I'm sure the Senate will have plenty of interesting moments over the next 3 years.
Yeah, and Four Corners this week again made allegations about the mismanagement of the Murray-Darling Basin Plan, in fact suggesting that it's a colossal waste of taxpayers' money and that the Auditor-General should investigate the entire scheme. Your comments on that?
Look, Minister Littleproud has investigated and is investigating various ways of bringing greater transparency, and I think ultimately that's what we all want. We want greater transparency across all of the water dealings that have gone on and the way that the MDBP is being managed. I think we need to remember a few things. One is that this was a plan introduced by Labor in 2012, signed by Julia Gillard. This is bipartisan support, and the coalition have had to roll it out and work with it. The alternative is not good. The current plan, yes, there needs to be some review. Minister Littleproud announced that the ACCC would be bringing some review to the speculative market, and I think that's essential, and I believe the terms of reference are being finalised at the moment, and he will bring something to the public very shortly about that. The Auditor-General, of course, is investigating buybacks that go back years now, which I think is also essential. The alternative to buybacks is what has been introduced, and that means water infrastructure programs that mean we don't lose thousands of jobs. The water buyback process, where 1200 gig was bought back in the previous years, has lost many jobs across the basin. That's not what we're going to do again. The current system, where infrastructure is being introduced into agricultural areas, irrigation areas, means that there is greater water efficiency, people don't lose their jobs. And in fact, as was brought out by the program last night, people can actually find ways to invest in more land and in more irrigation. That is not to say that people who own a lot of property, such as Webster's, which was raised, have suddenly got more access to water. They don't. They are part of a market like everybody else is. If farmers, and some of the smaller farmers that were interviewed on that program last night, they have been able to invest in their businesses. It is a matter of the transparency around all of that, and I think that's really the key issue that is going to be addressed anyway.
Well, we'll have that to talk about and many other issues ongoing. We look forward to seeing you again when you're able to join us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anne.
Thank you.
And of course you can see more news at milduraweekly.com.au.